When you have downloaded the XAMPP file for Windows, double click to install. Choose the C folder and the XAMPP will begin to install on your system. And this will take a few minutes because, as you can see, there are a load of files that it's installing here. That's because XAMPP isn't just Apache, MySQL, PHP and Perl, but a lot of other ancillary files as well. There's a lot of libraries for PHP, such as the pair libraries, and there's a useful tool in there called phpMyAdmin, which is a MySQL and PHP front end, to the MySQL database, so it allows you to administer the database through the web, and there's several other things like that in there, and Apache modules as well. We've just fast forwarded a bit through time to the finish of the previous installation screen, and it's just asking me here, should I add shortcuts to the start menu and desktop, which I'm going to say yes to, and should I locate the XAMPP paths correctly? Yes. And that will just do some cleanup of the files to put XAMPP where it wants to go and configure it to be used on a USB drive. So the advantage of something like XAMPP is that you can use it, stick it on a flash drive and take it with you, and you can in effect have a web server and plug it in and use it on any machine. I've just fast forwarded through some more to set up now, just some options, just press enter to choose the default, and now I'm just going to press 1 and start the XAMPP control panel, and you should have this available from the start menu if you answered yes to adding it in the previous option. So we'll just open that up and have a look at the control panel here for XAMPP, and we can see that it has installed Apache, MySQL, FileZilla, Mercury Mail and the Tomcat Java servlet engine. So here we can see that Apache hasn't actually been started yet, so we just click start. Now the web server has started, and there's an alert coming up from my firewall here so I'm going to unblock that. And there's also MySQL. I won't turn that on for the moment, I'll leave that turned off. So now the simple way to test whether Apache is up and running is to open up a web page. And the web page I'm going to open up is a special web page called localhost on your computer. So the way to test if Apache is running is to open up a web page on your computer, and there's a special web page known as localhost. So the way to test if Apache is running is to open up a web page on your computer called localhost. So just open any web browser and type in localhost. So just open a web browser and type in http://localhost, and that should bring up this screen here. So you can see we're at localhost now, which is a special address on our computer, and the XAMPP server has come up. So I just click into the English version. It's telling me you've successfully installed, and this is the IP address for localhost, which is http://127.0.0.1 or HTTP localhost, and it's adding in the S there for secure HTTP. Now I can check the status of the configuration under status, and it just takes a minute to come up. So here it's showing me that PHP is activated, Perl, Apache, HTTPS, secure socket layers, the common gateway interface, server-side includes, and IP version 4. Several other things have been disabled, such as MySQL database. Now, when you set up Apache, when you set up XAMPP, when you set up any web server on your system, it opens ports and it makes your system available to networks. So the first thing you need to do is check the security of your system. And at the very basic level, the first thing you should do is check the security in the XAMPP menu here. Now you can see here that we have a couple of messages unsecure under the first two items. And one of those is for that our XAMPP pages are accessible through the network by anyone, and PHP MyAdmin is freely accessible by over the network. Now that's not too much of a problem for us because we haven't installed PHP MySQL yet, but we need to set passwords for all these things and check their security configuration files. But that is the basics of how we get a web server running under XAMPP.